All right. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us. We'll get started.
All right. Hi,
Bit.
everybody. Good afternoon.
Yeah, we'll get started in a short bit. I'm just waiting for a few other people to join us. This call is basically to, discuss and take feedback on, you know, um, Binance KYC and see where the pain points are. So we'll just give a few minutes for others to just join up and then we get started. Please share the link, the YouTube link, and let's see who would be on the call with us today. Hi, Matendo, how are you doing?
Hi Ben, I'm good. I hope you're well as well.
I'm great. Good to have you. So for this call, we would basically focus on, the KYC process flow for all of our different regions. We'll focus on KYC process flow for West Africa, for South Africa, and for East Africa. And most importantly, after the call, we are going to take feedback, to what do you call it, to see and to ascertain what the pain points are for users who have not been able to complete KYC. So, once again, welcome to the call. Good to have you. We'll start very shortly. Just give me a minute. Let me just send out the broadcast and then we'll get started. Okay, so I would basically start off by sharing my screen, and I would take us through a quick walkthrough on what Binance is, um, and then afterwards I would allow Matendo go straight to show us a few touch points around Binance KYC, especially for the East African side. 1 second, quickly share my tab. Okay. Okay, so I think I should start off here. So first of all, this call is basically for the new joiners. If you're newly, if you newly just signed up on Binance, we basically want you to understand a few conversations around the Binance support. So for Binance support, we have the FAQ page, the Binance.com FAQ page. We have the Binance announcement page, where information of new products, new features are announced and put on our platform. And then we have the Binance customer support live chat, right? Where if you have any issues and you want someone to help resolve urgently, you can go on the live chat. On your mobile, you see it as a message icon at the bottom of your screen, the same way on your laptop, right? There's no customer support service outside the chat. Every other person who can help or assist on the TG would only refer you to customer support as much as possible. So do not listen to people who are going to try to impersonate or scam or try to sell shady crypto conversations to you. Do not give out any of your account information. Do not send out any of your digital assets to anybody who pretends to be a Binance support. Okay, yeah. So quickly, I'll go straight to how to register on Binance. Registration on Binance is actually very simple, kind of like the best or the easiest step to execute. You basically go to Binance.com. Make sure that this is the website you're seeing. Maybe I just go to slideshow. Okay, so that it is a little bigger. Yeah. So you come to Binance.com. Be sure that this is the website and that it is it has some protection, some SSL protection, and then you click on the register button, right? Matendo, can you see my screen?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Okay, great. So you click on the register button, and you will be prompted to where you provide your first verification details, first account verification details, right? For this one, you are able to provide either an email address or a mobile number. So if you provide an email address, you receive a 6-digit verification code to your email, right? And then if you provide a mobile number, you will receive that same 6-digit verification code to your as an SMS to your mobile number, right? So once you get that, you would be able to verify that you have set up your account. So input your email, set decide what password you want to use, create an account, and then you receive this code. Copy the code and provide it on the account verification part for Binance, and then you'll be able to have signed in to your account. Very easily done. Now the next thing, okay, some feedback or some tips here, guys, is you basically have at some point you might see that, oh, you don't find your email, right? If you don't find the email, for your verification, check your spam or junk folder. Um, or and then after you have found the email from your spam or junk folder, go ahead to whitelist, the Binance email address, so that whatever email comes into your mailbox, you are able to see it first time in your verified page, right? So, and then if you still have issues with finding the verification code or the email verification, you can actually chat to live support, provide your email address, and they would help you solve your challenges. Now, for the next step, which is kind of like the reason for this call, we notice that a lot of people are having, recurring issues with completing their KYC, and then we are trying to make it as simple as possible to for the user to have like a direct one click solution to solve all their problems. And to do this, we need to help you understand that the current process requires a few documentation and a few other processes. So they're like a two-step process for account verification and identity verification. So you have to provide an ID documentation in form of a passport, an ID card, a driver's license, and then if you have any of these three currently, you can be able to proceed to verify your account. Mathendu, in East Africa, what are the requirements that are requested for you to be able to complete the ID documentation?
All right. So for East Africa, you need to have either your national ID. I would prefer you use the new generation IDs. That is especially for Kenya because the new generation IDs give you, they're easily verifiable. The older generation ones, they may seem like they are photocopies. So you need to use, if you have the older generation ones, you may need to do the manual verification. The verification may fail a lot of times, and that will prompt you to do a manual verification where you basically send the documents manually to the customer service. And please always use Binance.com. Let no one else. Binance has no other means to verify. It's using the Binance app and using the Binance.com. There's nothing else. So uh, in regard to that, you're also able to verify using a passport. That is a government issued passport. So that applies to Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia as well. So you are able to verify using a passport. Again, the new generation passports, which are not, the older ones may look like they are photocopies again. So please use the colored new generation passports to verify that. So for East Africa, driver's license is still acceptable. And again, the new generation driver's license is what you're supposed to be using. The older ones, again, they may look like they are photocopies. For those of us who have tried using laminated IDs, those ones will more often than not fail. All right. So whether you've laminated the ID, if you've laminated the ID, just make sure you can do the manual verification, but they will more often than not fail actually. So back to you, Ben.
Yeah, thank you so much. The reason why I brought Matendo on this call is so that we can have all of the options, identified and mentioned live on the call. So pay attention if you're in Eastern Africa, new generation IDs are like your best bet. And he mentioned not to use photocopies or black and white copies to try to complete verification. They easily fail. So try to use your original copies of your documents, your ID cards, your passport, and your driver's license as well. Another interesting, process to complete KYC for West Africa, is like some, we call it like the one-click solution, where you just impute like a number, a digital number, and your documents are, are brought up to the customer support system, and then they can easily check you in. They can easily verify that this is the person who owns the account in the next step. But before we go to the one-click solution, let's look at the ID documentation step and then the selfie/headshot step. I'm going to add one other step here because a lot of people usually, confuse or mistake liveness check for the selfie check. I'm going to add that, in the conversation as we move forward. So let's go to how to complete verification on Binance. And if you look closely on your Binance icon, whether mobile or desktop, you'd find this icon. This icon is kind of like the profile icon. Once you hover over this icon on your Binance desktop, you would see a drop-down menu that would show you all of these other, profile features that you can play around with. And then again, when you if you're on your mobile system, if you tap on this at the top left hand corner of your app, you would also see the options of these features that you can also work with. So let's use the web version, to go over this particular topic, how to verify your identity. So now that you have all of those documents handy, or one of them handy, now that you have that handy, you can move ahead to come to your profile icon, select identification when it opens, and then you see this icon displayed to you on a desktop, on the desktop interface, right? What you're required to do is to provide all of the documents that you have to verify that the person who created the account is the person who is truly, the owner of the account, the owner of the document. So what you need to do is you need to click on verify. Once you click on verify, you're brought to a screen that shows you an option to fill in your basic account information. And then that involves, selecting your country. Once you select your country of residence, wherever, the country you are based in, right? Your country of residence, wherever you are, you select that, and then you select, the your primary details, your name, your last name, your date of birth, and possibly your residential address if you want to do this, right? So once you provide all of these details, pay attention to, you might need to provide the postal code of where you are and then the city where you are, right? So once you have all of this provided, you click on submit and continue, and then you'd find, a next step. Now, this step is requiring you to upload documents to validate the previous step, right? So in the previous step, you submitted, that you are based in United Kingdom, or you are based in Nigeria, or you're based in Kenya, and then you provided your name, that is legally binding, the name, on your document that you're about to upload. You provided your date of birth, making sure it is accurate. You provided your residential address and all of that. The next thing is to upload a document to verify your initial claim. So if you have your ID card, in this case, you can upload your ID card. If you have your passport, you can select that option. And then if you have your driver's license, you can select that option as well. This brings me to, the one-click solution I mentioned. In some regions currently, you can provide like a BVN. You can be checked in using your BVN, and all you need to do is just select your BVN, and upload, the numbers accordingly. Let me see. Okay, cool. Martin, do we have any one-click solution in Eastern Africa?
So right now, there's no one-click solution in East Africa. So you have to upload the documents.
Great stuff. So you have to upload all of the documents that you have. We are exploring possible solutions to have those kind of easy verification models to be deployed in that region. So once you have all of that, selected, the document you would prefer to use, you head straight on to clicking continue to find this next page. This next page now requires you to upload your selected documents. So in this case, you have to upload a valid ID card, right? Upload the valid ID card here, and then, click on continue. Once you do that, the next thing you are to do is to, upload a picture of yourself, and that is to complete a KYC, your selfie upload. Now, this picture, you must take it live on the app. You must take this picture live on the app, and for you to get the best result here, you have to make sure your internet is working perfectly. You also have to make sure that you have the best forms of light reflecting on your face. So if you're backing the light, you might have a bad output. You have to make sure that the light is reflecting directly on your face, and then you have to make sure that the image is still when you're taking it. Your phone is not moving around. There's no so much movement across your phone. So you are making sure the image is still before you complete the photo, right? So when you take the photo and you upload it on the system, this particular option, I think we looked at it specifically for Nigeria. You'd see, some of those have been categorized. Government issued ID cards have been further, categorized into, NIN slip, or, national ID card, right? But in this case, you see another option on this page that allows you to select the use of your BVN. Now, once you've uploaded the let me take you back a bit. Because some people usually confuse the selfie stage for the liveness test stage. So the selfie stage requires you to send a picture of yourself. Take a picture of yourself while on the process of verification. And then there's what is called the liveness stage, where you are kind of like giving instructions on what to do, per time. Sometimes it tells you to nod your head 2 times. Sometimes it tells you to, shake your head sideways. It just tells you to make sure that the person who is completing the verification is actually alive, right? So those 2 steps are actually most times, confused, and that is why people have their verifications failed. So they see that, oh, the selfie mode is still on, and they think it's a selfie, and they keep still, but when you get to that position, you are supposed to make some head movement. So once you have all of that, completed, you provided every document. These are like good tips to help you make sure your documents are easily validated, at least at the first trial, right? So you need to take the pictures of your documents, let's say your ID card. I think Matendu, maybe run through these useful tips to help our users complete KYC on the first trial.
All right. So the main things is I would advise using natural light, first of all, because I've seen more often than not, whenever you use artificial light. Artificial, I mean, like, it's at night, you're verifying using electricity, it's not that clear. Let's say my face right now is not the most clear, so that one may be bound to fail. The next main tip is, don't be wearing this. Don't be wearing a hat, or specs, or you should not be wearing anything. Even for one of the things I encountered earlier, especially for East Africa, is some people may have the head wraps. The head wraps, and it's more of a religious thing. So maybe that one you can verify whenever you're alone. But you must be clear, visible, and any additions to your face will be bound to fail. So whenever it comes to documents, make sure the best way to take a picture is on a white background, because it reflects clearly. The text should be very well visible, and on a white background that usually works much better. So again, whenever you're verifying and you're looking at the document, don't overexpose it. By overexposure, I mean, like, you may have all the lights with you, like in terms of maybe it's on the daylight and you're trying to focus your phone there. The challenge is sometimes the sun is too much and you're trying to focus that document and you can't read it yourself. So if your camera can't read it and yourself cannot read it, don't expect that will be verified. So avoid any kind of glare, or too much light. So there's also that. Then whenever you're doing the ID documentation, make sure you select the country you're living, where you come from. All right. So sometimes I find users, let's say a Tanzanian user is living in Kenya for now, and they're using their own ID, but then try to use they try to use the country as Kenya. Yes, you're living in Kenya, but your ID shows it comes from Tanzania, or your passport shows it comes from Tanzania. So you have to make sure, you abide by that. Verify KYC from your own country. That does not mean that you KYC, like you go back to your country and KYC from there. You can do it like, even if you're in another country, just make sure whenever it comes to the selection where you select which country you're living in, you select where you come from, what your passport reads, what your documents read. All right. So the next thing is, whenever I say the face is free from obstruction, also shadows matter. So if your eyes are not visible enough, that may be bound to fail. So make sure your eyes are visible enough. You can really see, even on your phone, whenever you're verifying, you can really see yourself. All right. So that will help you, fast track the KYC process. So one more thing, especially for East African users and for Kenya, whenever it comes to the ID, there is the one document we call like the Huduma number. Make sure the ID is up to date. Like, our documents don't usually expire, but make sure the documents, they are clear in terms of how they are written. So if you're using like a document which is bound to expire, like a driver's license which is bound to expire, make sure the date is clear and is not expired. So for IDs, for passports, you're clear. There's no chance that it will be expired. So I think that's more like it, Ben.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matendu. I think it makes a lot of sense. Yes, it does make sense. Now, look at the cases where your application will fail. And these are the things a lot of people are passing through. Some of them say, oh, it's too difficult, it's too stressful to complete KYC on Binance. But a lot of them might have faulted in this regard. Now, the first one would be, allowing some other text fonts to exist, on top of your passport. So imagine you have your passport on the side and then you have text on the other side. The system will not know what to pick, right? You need to make sure that it is on a plain background, white, black, whatever it is. Just make sure that it is the only document that has text, in the image that you captured. Secondly, you should not tilt your document to the side. You need to snap from a bird eye view, right? Snap from on top of the document. Try to capture the document, from kind of like a vantage point. Don't tilt to the side. It will not give, the best representation of that document. Also, do not crop the document. If you take a picture of your passport or your ID card and a portion of it is missing, even though you think it might be irrelevant, sometimes it affects, the pass rate of KYC. So make sure you take the document in full. Don't crop any part of the document. And then finally, if you allow rays of light to reflect on your document, especially those of us that laminate our documents, that plastic on top, it kind of like, gives away light. So if radiation is on top of it and it will reflect back, if this happens, some part of the document will become blur, and obviously it would not be accepted. So these are like the opposite of all Matendo explained in this part. Okay, so I think those are like basic ways to complete verification on Binance. One of the things that some people would go ahead to do is to complete what is called the advanced verification. Advanced verification is for, like, people who want to do huge or more volumes on the platform. You need to complete an advanced verification. We call it the POA, and that is like the proof of address verification. So where you'll be required to just provide like your address or where you stay, and then corroborate that with some document to validate that, oh, I actually stay here. So if I'm trying to complete the POA, the proof of address verification, I provide my address, and then I provide a utility bill, that can match that address. So, Matendo, one of the questions I want to ask here is, what are the possible utility bills, in Eastern Africa?
So to start with, we have to look at a few not, documents that we actually fail. So in East Africa, you'll realize that most of us don't have, the documents are rather PO box. Your address is represented as a PO box. So any address represented as a PO box will automatically fail. So the address has to be residential address. So now the documents which I think most people have used as a proof of address is, a bank statement showing clearly where you live. So if I live, let's say, like in a, house number 505, and then I live in a apartment called Binance Apartments, and then I live in a lane called Binance Lane. So I'd have my document read ash 505, which is the house number, comma, then Binance Apartments, comma, then Binance Lane, then the region, let's say somewhere in Abuja, Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria. So the address would read Ash 505, Binance Apartments along Binance Lane, Abuja, Nigeria. Yes, Abuja, Nigeria. So I hope now that makes sense. So now a few things that I think works best is, utility bills like power bills in Kenya. That will work very well. Then we have, of course, I've said the bank statements. So those are the two main ways you can actually verify. However, you'll find that you may receive mail and which is addressed to you, as long as there's a letterhead, and the bank statement should have a letterhead. Every document that you are trying to use to prove address should have a letterhead. A letterhead is basically, let's say you're banking with, X bank. So the X bank should be reading up there, all right? So make sure that's reading up there. That's more like it, I think, for East Africa.
Thank you so much, Mathendu. Just to reflect a few feedback, from the team, from people who are actually on the call. Someone says the NIN verification process is fast, and I love it. Some other person thinks the BVN, process is as well fast. Some other person thinks the both of them, or Laolu thinks the both of them are very fast, especially in West Africa, right? So there are a lot of things you can do to so there. Mathendo mentioned that sometimes you might have issues with completing these processes as stipulated. Sometimes you might have tried once or twice or three times or as many times as possible and you're getting frustrated. If you get to this point, in your KYC process, what you need to do is reach out to, support via our live chat system, and then, specify that your current problem is you are having difficulties completing KYC, and then they'll be able to make an exception for you and then find out how they can assist you. So all that will be required of you is to submit, your documentation, your ID documentation, whatever you're using to complete the process. Make sure you have it handy, take a picture of it, attach a video recording yourself, a video recording of yourself holding up your ID documentation. Just put it beside your face. Don't cover your face. Put it beside your face, and then the support team can assist you if it comes to that. But basically, all of what we have shared with you are the easiest ways, to complete your KYC. And interestingly, we actually just came up with a form because we are so particular about, in the ease with which our users complete KYC. We came up with a very quick form to collect feedback, from our users in the community. So if you belong to a community, a crypto community, where you have seen complaints around Binance KYC, please copy this form and post it in those communities so that somebody can pick it up and drop his feedback. In that form, we're going to be taking time to analyze each and everybody's response to see how we can help you complete KYC in the best time possible. I'll just share the form again with us. I think in South Africa, the issues are around imputing of wrong numbers, wrong ID numbers, right? So if you're imputing an ID number that the system is not picking, you have to be sure of the ID number you're sending in. If you're sending anything on in South Africa, you need to be conscious of the ID number you are trying to use to complete your verification. I think with all of this being said, this was basically the entire purpose for this conversation. We will take questions. If you have any questions, if you think someone who has questions or you've heard of any questions, you can actually put them in the form and put them in the feedback section of our form, and then let's see how we can help you resolve your queries. Any final thoughts, Mathendu, before I let you go?
All right, so basically, all I can say is the process is not that hard. We just have to, follow the few steps that have been put there to, it's for our own safety as users. So don't feel like it's too much. It's for our own safety. Whenever you have your assets, it's necessary. So for East Africa, again, whenever you have any issues, you can start with the customer service. And remember, we also have the East Africa community. So every region has their own community. So for Nigeria, you also have the community there, and the angels are right there. So they will advise you, the angels from these particular communities, nowhere else, please. But I would suggest you go directly to customer service through your app. That will be much easier. So that's more like it on my end. And guys, let's read a lot. Crypto is like we need to accumulate a lot of knowledge. All right. Thank you so much, Ben.
Yeah, thank you so much, team, for joining us on the call today. Remember to share the feedback form, copy it, share it to the communities you belong to. Let us get feedback as well as act on them as soon as possible. And like I mentioned earlier, we are coming up with solutions that would be a lot easier to execute, a lot easier to complete KYC with. So, stay tuned and we would unveil them in the shortest possible time. Thanks, everybody, and bye for now.